Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Adin Fasha. Today I will be presenting the data flow diagram DFD for the production system of ESL testis never height. This DFD illustrated how data flow through the company's production cycle by showing the interaction between SL activities, processes, data stores, and data flows. For a clearer explanation, I have divided the diagram into two parts. I will begin with the first three processes, which focus on production planning and material preparation. This slide shows the first three processes in the production system. The process start with process 1.0, prepare the master production schedule, MPS. This process receives two data inputs, which are customer order information from the sales department and the inventory level of ready-made clothes from the inventory files. Both inputs are analyzed to determine the production requirements. The output of this process is the master production schedule, which is then stored in the MPS file for future reference. The MPS then becomes the input for process 2.0, prepare the bill of material. In this process, the system determines the types and the quantity of raw materials required for production. The output is the bills of material, which is stored in the bills of material file. This file serves as a record of the material requirement for each production order. Next is process 3.0, prepare the material requisition form MRF. The MPS is used as the input to prepare the MRF. The output of the process is the material requisition form, which is distributed to the different destinations. One copy is sent to the purchasing department to purchase material if needed. Another copy is sent to the storage department to address the release of material. The final copy is stored in the material requisition file as documentation. At this stage, all material requirements have been authorized and are ready for the production. Second slide explains the remaining production processes. Process 4.0 is the production of ready-made clothes. This process receives material from the storage department as its main input. During production, if additional materials are required, a request for additional material is sent back to update the bills of material before the materials are issued again. This ensures that all the materials used is properly documented and controlled throughout the production process. After the production process is completed, the system continues to process 5.0, prepare job time ticket. The purpose of this process is to record the record time used during production. The output is the job time ticket, which is sent directly to the accounting department. The accounting department uses this information for wage calculation and labor cost recording. Finally, process 6.4, which is packaging and storing of ready-made clothes. The completed product from the production process becomes the input for this stage. Here, the finished products are packed and organized before being classified as finished goods. The final output is then transferred to the warehouse where the products are stored until they are ready for distribution or delivery. Overall, this DFD illustrates how information flow between agencies, process, data storage, and department to ensure that every stage of the production cycle is properly planned, recorded, and controlled. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum. Our group will be presenting the answer for question 2, Perocycle. This question focuses on the Perocycle at Roses His Enterprise, a small manufacturing company in Seremban. The company follows manual, non-standard procedures for managing employee salaries, from hiring and recording attendance to calculating wages, making payments and keeping financial records. We will be discussing regarding the basic activities in the Perocycle and identify the weaknesses in the company's controls, their effects, and suggest the corrective actions. The first activity in the Perocycle is to update the payroll master database. This activity is to reflect various internally initiated changes such as new hires, termination, and changes in pay rates. The master data needs to be updated regularly to reflect changes in tax rates and deductions for insurance. Now, we will look at the typical update scenarios and the data examples. The first scenario is a new hire onboarding. When adding a new employee to the master database, we need a complete data like full name, hire date, job title, and employment type to be updated in the database. Second scenario is termination. When an employee leaves, their master status must be updated to prevent future automated payroll runs. Data needed such as termination date, last working day, and final pay requirements. Furthermore, records of employees who quit or are fired should not be deleted immediately, since some year-end tax report require data about all employees who work for the organization at any time during the year. Next, we will see the risks that could happen in this activity. The first one is unauthorized changes to payroll master data. If payroll clerk has access to employee master records, without approval, the clerk may change an employee's bank account details in the payroll system and replace them with their own bank account number. Second risk is inaccurate updating of payroll master data. This risk is usually driven by human error or system glitch rather than fraud. Example include a typo that enters a new salary as 100,000 instead of 10,000.
Activity in the payroll cycle is validating time and attendance data. This activity ensures that employees' attendance records and working hours are accurate before payroll is processed. In Roses Hills Enterprise, a punch card system is used to record attendance. Employees insert their punch cards when they arrive at work and again when they leave. Therefore, punch cards serve as the source document for recording attendance and working hours. The output of this activity is validated attendance records. This process helps ensure accurate payroll processing and reduces the risk of payroll errors and fraudulent payments. So now, who's involved in this activity and what is their roles? So there are three parties that are involved in this activity. First, employees. They will record their attendance through the punch card system. Second, the factory supervisor will collect the punch cards, manually calculates the total hours worked, and verifies the accuracy of the information. Finally, the validated attendance data is forwarded to the payroll department for payroll processing.
So what is actually preparing the payroll process is about? It is a central process where the company calculates the actual amount of the money to be paid to the employees. In this process, it involves applying the agreed pay rates and calculates net payment that will be received by the employee. The calculation of net payment is gross payment minus any deduction such as EPF, SOCSO, and etc. Then afterwards, the payroll department will prepare an earning statement. The earning statement normally consists of amount of gross pay, deductions, net payment for the current period. We will move on to the next process, which is disburse payroll. What is actually the process of disbursement of payroll? It is an execution phase where the company fulfills its obligation by transferring the agreed money to the employees. The parties that are responsible in this phase is account payable department. They are involved in this process to review and approve the payroll register sent by the payroll department. Then, the actual transfer will happen afterwards. There are many ways to disburse the payment to the employees, such as it will be credited into the employee's bank account, or in this situation of Roses Hill Enterprise, the responsible clerk will prepare cash and insert it in an envelope and pass it to the employees.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Zulhazam Yasaril, and next I will explain about disbursed taxes and miscellaneous deduction. First, this process refers to deducting statutory and ordinary deduction before employee salaries before paying them. This deduction include income tax, EPF, SOCSO, insurance premium, and union fees. After deduction are made, the company must remit the money to the relevant authorities. Based on the case of Roses Hills Enterprise, there is no indication that the company deducts or remits the statutory deduction. The payroll clerk only prepares the cash wages, record the wages as expenses in the ledger, and prepares the financial statement. This means the payroll process only focuses on paying employees, but there is no evidence that EPF, SOCSO, or income tax deduction are being processed or documented. This is weakness because if statutory deductions are not properly withheld and remitted, the company may fail to comply with legal requirements. It can also lead to penalties, fines, or problem during an audit. In conclusion, the payroll system should include a proper process to calculate, to deduct, record and remit all statutory deduction to ensure compliance with regulation and improve the effectiveness of the payroll cycle. Now, I will explain two weaknesses of internal controls identified in the case. The first weakness is that there is no formal documentation for employee hiring and salary rates. The owner only informs the payroll clerk verbally about the employee's wages. This may cause miscommunication, and the implication is the payroll clerk could record the wrong salary amount, leading to overpayment or underpayment. To solve this, the company should prepare a written employment letter and salary record, and the payroll clerk should rely only on written documents. The two weaknesses is the lack of segregation of duties in the recruitment process. The owner is responsible for advertising vacancies, interviewing candidates, hiring employees, and deciding their salaries. Since only one person handles everything, mistakes or fraud may occur because there is no independent review. So a better control is to separate these responsibilities so different employees handle requirement, approval, and payroll to reduce the risk of error and fraud.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Muhammad Naif and I'll be explaining weaknesses 3 until 5. Okay, the company currently uses punch cards to track employee attendance. Workers insert their cards into a machine when they arrive and leave. At the end of the month, the factory supervisor manually collects these cards, calculates each employee total hours worked, writes it down on paper and passes it to the payroll department. For industry, since no one supervises employees when they insert their punch cards, an employee could ask a colleague to punch in or out on their behalf. This means absent or early leaving employees could still appear as present. This will lead to overpayment of wages. To fix this, the company should upgrade to a biometric attendance system where attendance can only be recorded using the employee's own fingerprint, making it impossible to fake. For Windows 4, the supervisor manually calculates hours and records them on paper. This opens the door to human error. These calculations, lost papers, or even intentional manipulation of hours. The recommended control here is to use proper software, such as Microsoft Excel or an SQL payroll system, to automatically calculate and store hours worked, reducing errors and preventing data loss. Alright, weakness 5, our final weakness. The payroll clerk prepares cash, places it into individual envelopes and hands them out the next day. If an employee is absent, the clerk holds onto the envelope personally. The problem here is significant. Cash disbursements leave no reliable financial trail. There is no record in any banking or financial system, making the process highly susceptible to fraud or misuse. The payroll clerk personally handling cash with no system oversight is a serious internal control gap. The solution here is pretty straightforward. The company should switch to direct bank transfers from a dedicated company payroll account into each employee's individual bank account. This ensures every transaction is traceable, properly recorded, and available for review or audit purposes. In conclusion, this case has shown us the importance of having an effective payroll cycle and strong internal controls in an organization. We have discussed the 5 main payroll activities, identified several weaknesses in Roses Hill's enterprise current payroll system, and suggested appropriate control procedures to reduce errors and fraud. By implementing these improvements, the company can ensure more accurate payroll processing, better accountability, and greater compliance with statutory requirements. Thank you for your attention, and we hope that this presentation has provided a better understanding of the payroll cycle and its importance in an accounting information system. Thank you.